was that faith is like night vision goggles, which allow us to see what we can't see in darkness with our own human eyes, which I thought was actually a pretty good analogy.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome back, everyone. We are looking back at this past week's Sunday readings and looking ahead to next Sunday's readings. We know that most people attending Mass don't look ahead to the readings they'll be hearing. So I hope you'll find our little show fun and useful, especially if you're looking to connect more to the Bible readings during Mass. My name is Vincent and my buddy's name is Roy. We've been friends since childhood and we both volunteer at different churches as lectors, or the guys who read at Mass. We'll offer our thoughts on the readings as well as share some fun stories about volunteering at church and everyday life. Okay, let's get started.
Oh, I don't know, on the side. So I read the announcement. This Friday is a holy day of obligation for the Assumption of Mary. So don't forget Friday to go to Mass.
Get to church, people, this Friday. Tell your boss. Bring your boss. All right, new week. So what's up with you?
Well, football's back. It was the Niners opening preseason game. It was pretty awesome with the new 4K screens. I think it's the biggest in the NFL right now. It's way more clear. So when you see the plays, it's like, whoa. The side screen has like game info, like the score and the time and the quarters.
I met up with an old buddy of mine. He's a diehard Broncos fan from Colorado. He lives in the Monterey area now, and they came up for the Niners-Broncos preseason game. So we grabbed a bite to eat before the game. I hadn't seen him in a couple of years. He wore a John Lynch jersey, though. So
oh, nice.
if there was ever going to be a Bronco jersey, you're going to look for a
That's
John Lynch
fair.
jersey since he's the general manager. I'm like, still, but less bad. And speaking of old friends, an old high school friend of mine, we worked together at the same company, but his family moved to the Texas office about 6, 7, 8 years ago or so. And we grabbed a snack in the cafeteria and we actually chatted for a good like 15, 20 minutes, just kind of catching up. We last saw each other in line at Costco years ago before they moved to Texas. So it was nice to see some old friends in a span of a few days. It was cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
Looking ahead, it's the 20th Sunday in Ordinary Time, and the first reading is from the prophet Jeremiah, where Jeremiah gets thrown into a deep cistern of mud to starve to death. But a court official named Ebed-Melech pleads to the king to have him released. The responsorial is Psalm 40, Lord, come to my aid, which we could imagine Jeremiah saying while he was in the pit, for sure. The second reading is from the letter to the Hebrews again. St. Paul says, let us rid ourselves of every burden and sin that clings to us. And finally, in the gospel, Jesus says that he has come to set the earth on fire to establish division. So where it will be a father and son against each other, kind of like unbelievable, and a mother and daughter against each other. You're thinking like, no way is he saying all this. And a mother-in-law and daughter-in-law against each other. Okay, maybe this last one is a little less shocking. Right?
That's why I was like, you should have led with that one first because that's less shocking too.
So division is the theme here in the gospel. So this is one of Jesus's more provocative messages. So it'll be interesting to hear the priest unpack that in the homily.
So for context, in the first reading, so Jeremiah was a prophet right before and during the Babylonian exile. Basically, this is where everyone was kind of just doing their own thing and really not obeying God. So the prophets like Jeremiah was telling everybody that they should repent or else something bad will happen. And so the prophecy came true when Babylon conquered them and forced most of their best citizens into Babylon. It's one of the darkest days in Jewish history. But when all of these prophets were trying to warn them, no one believed them. They even tried to kill Jeremiah, putting him into that cistern. So this is where the reading of Jeremiah comes in. In this reading, it shows how like mob mentality and a fickle, weak, or do whatever you want kind of king kind of suppresses God's warnings. And they keep trying to kill the messenger. So for the context of the second reading, Paul's trying to compare how their life is like a race, and where the motivation to keep us going in this marathon of a race is Jesus, knowing how he's endured for us, so we should endure for him. The context with all the readings would be how the new converts endure the condemnations of their fellow Jews, like how Jeremiah still wants the best for his countrymen, but they're all trying to kill him. And it ties into the gospel where Jesus warns the people that even their own household will be divided because of Jesus. And we must try and endure all of that.
Yeah, it's really interesting about like the division, because I think maybe a first century Jew might think that division, oh, does that mean we're going to be divided against the Romans and things, and he's going to finally free us from oppression from the Romans? Again, I think they were thinking a little bit too much from the political sense of freedom versus the freedom from sin. In a higher spiritual sense, they were being conquered by their sin and they weren't free from their sin. So that was my thought about division. Okay, let's look back at this past week's readings. Roy, I know you read this week. How did that go? Oh, did you get the first or second reading?
I got the second, so I did ask for the second.
So it was that there came forth from one man descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky and as countless as sands on the seashore. The word of the Lord.
Just looking how I read it last week, I cringe, like, oh gosh, that's on the podcast. So maybe that spurred me on to get better. And so all of the practice and the research for this podcast really does help. This one felt a little better, more polished.
Very nice, yeah. So lectors out there, practice before you read.
Yes.
Read it out loud a couple of times. Don't just read it in your head. It's different when you read it in your head versus out loud, right? Because you get the pacing and you get the movement of your mouth going and your eyes also following on the page.
So for the homily, it was kind of cool. Father Gerald said to have faith in each other, but make sure that you are trustworthy in the things that you tell people. So you hope that they're not lying or trying to trick you, but you must trust in the process. Like a player has to trust their coach. It kind of reminds me of the Karate Kid, where the sensei or the teacher uses all these unconventional training methods that has nothing to do with fighting, but it proves to be trustworthy enough, wax on, wax off, to the student to win the karate tournament or, face his bully.
Oh, by the way, on that, I finally finished Cobra Kai. Did you watch it all?
Yes. Well, we'll talk about it later, or else we're going to run out of time.
I'm going to do another movie review or TV series review of Cobra Kai.
For my cardinal proposal, or the hinge that bridges it all together, it says to choose to remain faithful to the scripture's wisdom and hope for the promise of his kingdom. Jesus warns his disciples to be wise and always be ready. It will come when you least expect it, and you will definitely regret it.
Yeah, our homily was being ready for death. It's kind of a sobering thought, but a lot of people never give it even a passing thought. They live their lives, or I'll say we live our lives with total disregard to the future of our souls. We're thinking of the now and never the future and the future. Another idea was diversion. The devil tries to divert our eyes from the target of heaven. There's another analogy he used for faith. Faith is like night vision goggles, which allow us to see what we can't see in darkness with our own human eyes, which I thought was actually a pretty good analogy.
Oh yeah, like that's cool.
And two of the best inventions in the military are, number one, night vision goggles. If you ever used night vision goggles before, you're like, this is awesome. Because you take them off, it's pitch dark. You put them on, you're like, oh, wow, this is amazing. And the second one, best invention in the military, is the poncho liner. Poncho liner. Look it up. If you know, you know.
It's interesting when you talked about night vision. But we went to the Egyptian Museum in San Jose.
Yeah.
They had these like secret messages on the wall. And I was like, what are these things? You could tell that there's something supposed to be there, but it's like erased or blank. And then I was like, I had my little trusty little flashlight that had a UV on it.
Oh, there you go.
On, and I'm like, whoa, look at that! And it showed the UV started to shine, show the secret message.
You're like 1 out of 100 people who actually has a UV light in their pocket. So, all right, this is the How Would You Read This segment. So I picked part of the first reading from Jeremiah. So what do the notes say there, Roy?
So the notes say it's basically how to pronounce So
Ebed-Melech. Okay,
Ebed-Melech.
got it.
And then so it says, so Ebed-Melech's act is a courageous one. Speak his words with conviction, especially in his remembering Zedekiah that Jeremiah is a prophet.
Let's give it a shot. So this is from the first reading from Jeremiah, the second half of the reading, after Jeremiah has already been thrown in the cistern. Ebed-Melech, a court official, went there from the palace and said to him, "My lord king, these men have been at fault in all they have done to the prophet Jeremiah, casting him into the cistern. He will die of famine on the spot, for there is no more food in the city." Then the king ordered Ebed-Melech the Cushite to take 3 men along with him and draw the prophet Jeremiah out of the cistern before he should die.
So the interesting thing of him being courageous is because he's a Cushite. He was an outsider.
Yeah.
And he was asking the king, right, to kind of go back and save Jeremiah.
Yeah.
And he was the one who just told, those guys to go ahead. Yeah, you could kill him, whatever you want.
Yeah.
And then so Ebed-Melech was so courageous in saying, and he was an outsider, say, hey, you need to save this guy.
Okay, how was it? I hope you got some positive takeaways from this. Leave your thoughts below in the comments, and don't just like and subscribe, but also click that share button and share this with your family and friends as well. Take care and God bless.
Yeah, we met up with your sister for lunch on Thursday. I said, "Oh, do you like our podcast?" And she said, super thrilled about the podcast. Wants her mom to be a guest, just a guest on her show.
That'll never happen.